this split. If Vanir just don't make any mistakes, they should be able to win. They've definitely cleaned up their play over the last few weeks, and despite the fact that we won't be seeing them in playoffs, definitely a team that was able to put themselves in that conversation. I think giving someone like Ploxy agency on this, at least to make early game plays, is a great thing. Ruddy looking for early game plays themselves, but Chrisberg will spot them out on the invade.
Would you really want a map split bot, though? I question why you would ever go for a level 1 like this here when you have Renekton in topside matchup and you have an Ezreal matchup on bot lane that's not going to set up dive opportunities for you. You don't need to accelerate the Ezreal. You need to accelerate the rest of the map so the Ezreal can curve into his item spikes. The item spikes haven't changed, and Avoid's Quick Blade, obviously a really good shift for him, but it makes his build path cheaper overall by not necessitating the mana moon like you did before, but you still want him to curve into his 3-4 items. You don't want a map split at all. So I do question why they did that at all. A 5-man defensive stack would make more sense to me, or even a map split for topside, but you don't want the Ezreal falling behind, right? Bit of a weird one for me, but you know, hey, I mean, maybe they could just randomly make a pick and it would have worked, but if they'd committed there to the map split, big question marks in my head there.
Well, fortunately for the Ruddy faithful, that is not what ended up happening. We do have No Name starting on the top side, going to be taking pretty extended clear down towards the bottom half of the map towards Stenvoxne, who has opted for the press the attack here actually on the Ezreal. So even if we do see a little bit of action around that bottom lane, the Ezreal is a bit better equipped to deal with it. Rifty not taking the best trades, hitting level 2, could go aggressive onto Lingui.
Are you a Ruddy man, Middlecop?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm a fan of them. Like, I enjoy watching them play. I feel like they're sometimes a little bit boring. They sometimes take a little bit too long. But I think the Twitter feed more than makes up for it. And they've actually had one of the more interesting stories out of our teams throughout the course of this split.
I just like their rap battles, to be honest.
They've not done one in a while.
They haven't. But they need to cook one for playoffs.
See, I actually had this conversation with Jake a while back, and he was like, we're not going to do too many raps because we want them to be high value. We want them to be impactful as Foxy looking for an impact in top
Wave's
lane.
good,
The
though.
Cocoon going wide, but that wave is in a great spot.
Yeah, that wave, it was able to crash in towards the turret. Camille didn't actually drag the wave with her when she went for the play under Renekton. So looked bad, but ended up being good, and good by No Name to guarantee that that wave moves in. Looks like Renekton, he's going to teleport top and force the TP out of Lingui there.
Ooh, Nita going an all-in onto Luca.
The all-in! Okay. Big wave for Niter as well. Big HP difference for him. At least kind of has to go there, but at least also wants to prevent the Renekton getting a really good wave state for him on top side. This is why the Renekton did the TP. If the Renekton just walks into lane, Niter's not as enabled to do this play.
Niter, are you looking at your screen? Are you looking at your screen? Ploxy's there. Oh, we've actually just seen a flash off screen. Gets the Cocoon. Not quite in range of the Ruddy man. So actually an investment of resources that doesn't gain too much for Ploxy.
Yep. Good wave and flash burn, but the teleport from Renekton topside meant Elise couldn't just be there to defend the wave as Niter went for the play because she had to choose between top and mid. So that TP ended up being very, very impactful top even for this mid play.
Oh, hold on, we're seeing an Ignite down bomb from Lingui, gets the passive shield.
Ignite.
And once again, we are seeing solo laners on slithers of HP. There's going to be no jungle help for Rifty if Lingui wants to go for a dive.
Biscuits on Lingui. Rifty wants to get HP back on the wave with his empowered Q. He does get so, and he's gonna be fine. The wave wasn't going to go straight into a crash. At least we knew as bot side from chasing the Lee Sin. But still, Gragas needs to be thinking. Oh, yep, he is thinking, and he is matching.
No Name, he didn't have the body slam because he went over the wall. And he's gonna have to use the flash to get away. I love how both of these junglers, they haven't got any kills yet, they haven't got any assists either, but they've been incredibly active on the map and tend to be turning up in the same places.
Yeah, I mean, Gragas hasn't even done a full clear yet at this point, but that's just season 13 jungling right there, mate. Like, I remember when we used to farm camps, we used to carry games, but now this is where it's come to, all right? I'm going to play top. No, I'm going to play. Who cares about top? Not a single human being has ever said, wow, that top lane's really won the game. But that's what jungle's being reduced to this season, mate. All right? They're just matching, and they're trying to play for everyone else on the map. These are the least important people, and yet the most important people for how they enable everyone else.
I think it's ironic that you said, wow, this top lane has not done anything. Because if I'm thinking of a top laner that does stuff, WoW is pretty high on the list.
Well, he does stuff to viewership, I'll say that.
Great. Oh, huge proc of the passive there from Touch to deny Nash's engage. Can battle dance himself away. That was really, really heads-up play. Could have been dangerous for the Vanir bottom lane.
Yeah, and the minion dematerializer used there as well, actually, to change the wave state on bot lane. At least still matching this Gragas, making sure that Gragas can't get an acceleration play on the more important mid and top lanes. Both being very sacrificial trying to play here, but honestly, Ploxy, he's had control of the river this whole time. Renekton's being able to turn it into a decent wave state for himself top, and Knight hasn't died, but...
Then Boxday nearly got rooted by the feathers being pulled back. Nash gets a knock onto Chrisberg,
though.
That's a decent chunk down onto the Zyra. It's still Vanir that have position on the way, but you keep tanking Mystic shots on that, you can be in a bad spot. Once again, we are seeing junglers rotating towards the bottom lane. Blood in the water being spelled. No name actually pathing back away. Ploxy making sure that the wave gets shoved in, and Chrisberg is going to be able to head back to base in relative safety.
Yeah, I mean, if Chrisberg wasn't able to recall on that wave, he'd be in such a terrible position, so Elise is there to make sure that happens, because then Voxnay and Nash have every reason to go aggressive and prevent that from happening. Ploxy, he's being everywhere he needs to be. We've brought up this man before in Vanir games. Very impressive bridge jungler. And we're seeing more why here, right? He's matched Gragas at every point. You could definitely say No Name's matched him. But there's almost no play that happens on the map where Ploxy isn't thinking about it properly, isn't there, and isn't, let's be real, taking an advantage.
And yeah, whilst the Elise is an early game ganking jungler, right? If you look at the wider composition that Ruddy have built for themselves, you'd characterize that as the composition that is going to succeed in the early game. And so whilst Vanir haven't really built more concrete leads to themselves, you got Luca doing decent in mid lane, up a little bit of CS to go against Niter, and Vanir are going to be happy with where they are.
Yeah, I mean, they've managed to survive this early portion, and you have to think it gets somewhat easier for their composition later on, right? Renekton into Camille, though, it's characteristically a difficult matchup. It's just the burst of that Elise and the fact that it doesn't afford you easy itemization to the Camille that's going to be a big difference maker. Jace, very useful champion even without his utility, but as Yona's seen, if you have good target selection, you could still make good use of the lead. Just nothing as obvious as the low mobility Victor in this game.
How is Touch proxying right now? Strange things are occurring in bot lane. Big chunks are occurring in bot lane, and No Name has a big barrel he wants to throw at bot lane. Flashes used from Vanir to get themselves out.
Huge wave denial there. The answer to how Vanir are able to do anything is the same as always. It's Ploxy. Ploxy going for that dive. Then Voxnay getting the read, but Gragas just being behind Ploxy on that. And with Gragas having shown up on bot lane, with them Voxnay and Nash being locked in there, Vanir are able to make a hard play onto mid as well. Camille got priority top, shifted in towards mid as the rest of her game shifted towards bot for the play, and they're able to play out two lanes here. Ruddy, they're not really able to play anything at all.
Nash needs to be very, very careful. The CC cocoon not quite landing. Ploxy goes into the sky, down into Nash. Gets first blood for Vanir. It's been a long time coming, but the blue side team, the team from Norway, are getting the better of Ruddy in the early stages.
Yeah, I mean, look at the advantage in mid lane as well. Even though Knight was winning on the early trades, Ploxy's matching meant they never got any actual aggressive acceleration picks off. This Herald's going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting to get them back into the game, because if the solo lanes can't carry in the mid game, the Ezreal will fall too far behind. You don't have wave clear options here. There's no Sivir to get you into the late game, something that Ruddy have fallen back on before. They didn't get their Aphelios, they didn't get their Caitlyn, they didn't get really anything that they wanted that they normally use to delay the game. They can't afford an even or definitely losing mid-late game state. If they do so, the game will just end on Vanir's time.
And when you've locked in these picks yourselves, like the Lee Sin, like the Gragas, like the Renekton, you've got to answer questions in the early stages. And honestly, the answers that Ruddy have come up with haven't really been sufficient. The longer that Lingui is able to exist on the side lane on the Camille, the harder and harder it is going to become to deal with him. I'm not sure if anybody on Ruddy, once we get to the sort of 20-minute mark, is actually going to be able to consistently match up against Vanir's top laner on a side lane.
No, that's gonna make things very difficult for them, to be honest. Like their composition, it was a risky one. Ploxy understood the win conditions there. If they win, if Vanir win, Ploxy absolutely, for this early game, is going to be MVP no matter how the fights go, because however the fights go, it's going to be because Ploxy got them to the point where they were able to go that way. This 3-man here, again, ahead, Nash behind on a reset, Gragas, he can't afford to be on the map, Lee can't afford to be on the map. Only Renekton can because he knows everybody is bot side. But what can he really do here? He can't dive the level 9 Camille here, right? Camille has ultimate up, will have Ignite up very soon. He doesn't have the burst to do anything on his own. Nothing can happen for Ruddy, but the setup for the next players all being done.
Ooh, flashback from Luca! Escaping from the attempted play from Ruddy, and Nash will be CC chained to death. A second kill for the Elise, and Vanir are building themselves a bigger and bigger advantage with every play.
That's the setup from Vanir being capitalized on right there. This is not your jungle anymore, no name. You had a very tiny burst window, but the damage wasn't there. Similar to our opening game of the day, where with Unique, the small windows they had, the damage wasn't there. But Vanir, because they have the control, they're easily able to capitalize.
Ooh, touch was taken low, but they might be able to kill. No name! The feathers fly! But it's Vanir who are able to make it work. Themselves a double kill for Chrisberg. Then vodsnade wins this if he arcade shifts forward, if he just hits the damage. The Mystic Shot dodged away from by Chrisberg. The W going wide as well, but the crits from the Ezreal baby, too much. Chrisberg, not enough HP to make it happen. Then vodsnade could simply auto him down. A triple kill for this Ezreal is massive. Lingui with the Ignite, with the ultimate, jumps on top of Rifty, who's going to flash away to safety.
If anyone set that play up on bot lane, it was Nash, but then vodsnade, you can never, ever count him out on the NLC there. Nash going down there after getting that triple knockup, but DV is already on 2 kills, and it's so easy after the PTA gets procced to finish up on Chrisberg. Even if he misses all his skill shots, as let's be real, these things weren't landing, mate, were they? He just has a couple of autos to throw in on Chrisberg with the damage bonus to secure the final kill there. 3 kills on the Ezreal. Previously, we were talking about how he wouldn't get the time to curve into the game if his lanes aren't hard winning, but he's just been gifted that curve with those kills. No tier build anymore, going straight into Navori. Once we get into the Prowler/Eclipse portion of the game, you have to think he's going to do serious damage. He's not looking at heavy tanks on the enemy. He doesn't need those 4 items Soreldas into Eclipse builds. He can go full squishy, so a 3-item Ezreal can already be looking to win hard team fights against Vanir.
It's the big carry that we were looking for on Ruddy, and they find it in the man in the bottom lane once again, as they have done so many times this split. It's still Vanir with the gold lead, with the theoretical advantage in this game, but DV, he's going to be pissed that he doesn't have a shot at second today. He's going to be pissed that he's going to have to settle for a lower bracket run through playoffs, and the sort of player he is, that is going to ignite a fire within him, make him play even harder.
Yes, 100%, but this Drake is the next big objective. Vanir, they're able to play really heavy through bot here. DV doesn't have the wave clear to just reset the wave. He throws his ultimate down on it. He's got to try to catch it, but he's under a huge threat. This could turn into a big thing for Vanir.
Yeah, you just chain the CC, and it is easy as you like. Those 3 kills created a shutdown, and Chrisberg will be happy to claim it alongside the first tower of the game. Vanir, 3,000 gold ahead, and for all the strengths that Ezreal had, this Xayah is getting to a point where you need to take her seriously.
There's no point unless you're going AP Ezreal with your ultimate where you're going to have significant wave clear on Ezreal, and that's always the reason why you need your winning mid lane, your winning top lane if you're gonna go this pick. Right there, Ezreal can have as many kills as he likes, but he can't prevent the enemy doing acceleration plays if acceleration plays are open to them. With a winning mid lane, why wouldn't it be? They had full control of her, they had full control of enemy jungle, they could do what they liked, and they went on you. Where was the cover from No Name from Nash? They're fully behind on the map, so the cover couldn't even be there. All you could do was abandon the lane there, lose cannon wave, lose next wave, fall further behind, fall behind on your curves, and slowly lose the game there. You can see the issues of Ruddy's composition, and not just the strengths of Vanir's composition, but the strength that Ploxy is showing with the plays that's being called here. We saw from the comms how big a deal Ploxy is in those communications, in these plays, and he's really showing his form in this game.
Yeah, he's now on the top side of the Rift, potentially looking at that Rift Herald as, whilst the bottom lane tower falling is great for Vanir, getting that mid lane tower just make everything a heck of a lot easier. We are seeing Luca play aggressively onto Rifty, who hasn't really been able to get into the game on this Renekton, but he's going to be able to get out of that attempted play from Vanir.
Yeah, well, not a big enough wave there, not a huge cannon wave to be able to play with. DV's on the cannon wave here, but Elise isn't really in a position to do anything on this. The thing is, though, with that pressure, they're going to get full control of the top side of the map now. Pressure top, pressure mid. This means the Herald that is open will get taken by Vanir uncontested. They're just ahead on every play on the map here. Even the play that Ezreal was able to get a 3-1 on, that was done under Ezreal's own tier 2. Vanir, they've never really not been in control of the game, even if they have messed up at certain points.
It's sort of, they're the ones that have dictated the pace, and sometimes they fumble the ball, but fundamentally they are still running for the end zone at, well, pretty alarming pace. I don't understand how American football works, so I'm probably mixing up my metaphors, but with this Rift Herald, they've got tower pressure if they want it. Ploxy could drop it now, could save it, as this tower may just drop without the Herald even being used.
No respectable man understands how American football works, don't worry.
Oh, I've been watching a lot
Do you
of those.
understand how rugby works?
Oh, union or league?
Interesting. Do you know how either works?
I know how union works. I'm pretty sure I know how rugby union works. It's been a while
Good
since
enough.
I've played.
Matters more than knowing how American football works. There you go.
Oh. I do love a good game of rugby. Very, very fun. Very, very fun. Got a couple minutes now before the next big objective spawn for either of these teams. That isn't going to be an Air Drake, I believe. That's going to be a Hex Tech Drake, although we'll have to get production to see if they can confirm that. Lingui might be looking for Rifty, but Rifty is more than happy to turn it around with a little bit of burst down onto that Camille. Blade of the Ruin King completed. You need to respect the crocodile.
Thwack right there. So long as he's trading without grasping up on Lingui, I think he wins all of them at this point, and maybe even more. This, again, is not the same Renekton you guys may have been memeing in the past. Even LS likes Renekton in this current state. So that means you know it's a serious champion. Actually, honestly, of that track record, that may mean it's terrible. But it's a really good champion at this point in the game.
Well, it's difficult to match him, and the thing is, if you get him on top of an AD carry, it's going to hurt them a lot. I do think it's interesting that we've seen Chrisberg opt for the plated steel cuts. He's just completely going, do you know what? Someone's going to try and dive me. If I can get that little bit of extra survivability, I've got time for maybe 1 or 2 more autos that can make the difference in fights.
Yeah, I mean, what you really want from the Renekton at this stage is that you want him to be able to control Camille and give you a route to play around. Thus far, Vanir have always been able to play off Lingui into a mid play, off bot lane into a mid play. But if Ruddy can play off Renekton into a mid play, that would be fantastic. Though here they were trying to play off Niter and they gave Vanir the opportunity to drop the Herald mid. Realistically, there was nothing you could do once Vanir had priority on the Herald to take it in the first place. But there is potentially a way to get control on objectives now via that Renekton with the Herald off.
And off the back of that objective, they're going to be able to rotate over and get control of this dragon. It's felt very simple for Vanir. It's not felt like they've had to really do anything, really overexert themselves. I'm still really waiting for that big play to come out of Ruddy.
Cast your mind back, though.
Oh, we might be seeing it here as Ruddy just gets
double TP.
a little bit of an alley-oop going down onto Luca, but the Jace is more than happy to take this fight. Lingui diving forward. The Jace has already died, and Nitro is alive for just a little bit longer. The Hex tag ultimatum,
the CC!
not enough to take him down. Finally, Lingui gets the kill, but we were asking for a Ruddy play. They make it in the top lane.
Yeah, but Ploxy's like, okay, mate, I'm going to take this individual Hextech and open up potential soul point in 5 minutes for my team. And Xayah Nautilus have been destroying mid this whole time and actually get tier 2 mid down. So it's not like this was a clean play for Ruddy. It was a 1 for 2 in the top lane, sure, but I think economically, Vanir still feel fine coming out of this. But that's been the Vanir story for a while. We're not talking about Verdun anymore. We've seen Vanir get to these points, make these objective trades, feel like surely we're just waiting for Vanir to end the game now, and we've seen teams come back against them time and time again. Baron is up, they don't seem to know how to juggle this, how to turn that into a win, and Ruddy were the last team to really expose that about Vanir. Vanir had a significant lead against Ruddy, that just ended up evaporating. So even though Ruddy are in a position where you can't quite see how the Ezreal's going to be able to curve in here, you can't quite see how the team fight composition is going to be able to scale in at all. We're used to Vanir doing the impossible and losing on these leads. The question is, can Vanir close? There was never a question, realistically, of can Vanir get advantages. Their draft favoured it, Vanir as a team identity favoured it. But closing, that's always been a different question for Vanir. Similar to how for Verdant, the question of whether they can get a lead early has always been a big one.
Oh, they might be trying to translate that early lead into a little bit more. This is a big dive onto them Voxday, but there's nothing the Ezreal could do to escape that. He's just going to fight his way out. They overstep a little bit of impatience, as you say, veteran.
No, did it again. This is the Vanir story over and over. Touch goes in on a hook, blows the ultimate, assuming that it could turn into a really good play, but Lingui goes in and is the only one that is able to dive in, isolates himself, gives Ruddy a 3v1. Vanir, they're showing all the reasons why Verdant were the ones who figured out their team identity and not Vanir themselves, but they are transitioning this into a sneaky Baron, and it looks like Ruddy are completely unaware.
They don't know.
They don't know. They have no idea.
They have absolutely no idea. Rifty's recalling in the top lane.
Just flip the Baron. Why not? Oh my god.
We're seeing pins going down, but there is no member of Ruddy even close to the pit.
They had no clue. I respect it. If you don't respect it, you're an idiot. That's it. I respect that play.
And whilst they may, veteran, have overstepped in the mid lane, gone a little bit too far forward.
Oh, they ran it.
Ran it is perhaps a strong term. I wouldn't use that sort of language. Fundamentally, we're looking at Vanir with a Baron buff now, and that fixes a lot of problems for you. Lingui. Oh no, bro.
Classic.
Classic. Is there a reason for Rifty to be there? He's going to be able to interrupt the hookshot wall dive, but Lingui is going to dive back, and actually Ploxy catches out their Voxday on the side, and Vanir in a 2v4 momentarily fight off the attempt from Ruddy. They get a kill from themselves. They're going to be able to take down this top lane tower, and I don't know, man, Vanir, they look like they've got this game on lock.
The coordination wasn't quite there from Ruddy on that play. Naito was able to crash on tier 2 on bot lane, so in terms of map control, they should be able to defend this, and they should be able to maintain a fairly even map state.
Not going to.
No, this tower's getting deleted. Never mind. This is going to crash off tier 3. Camille's locked on bot side, but has teleport. I guess the expectation was Naito would be able to join that play, but the play happened too far away from the wave. Yeah, coordination was off there, and that play ended up turning into Vanir's favor. This Baron is going to do a lot for Vanir, and the call to actually get the Baron could be that late game call that secure Vanir the game. But ultimately, are you satisfied with that as Vanir? Sneaking a Baron when you had so significant of a lead, not really being able to play the game out in, I wouldn't say a standard state, but in a less variable state, using your advantages fully. This wasn't really a utilization of their advantages, but still, it could net them the win, and a win's a win.
Oh, Rifty!
Well, that guy just doesn't exist anymore, does he?
He's just gone, and I think that for Vanir, being able to put up performances like this towards the end of the season, it's frustrating. This is a team that has pushed, maybe is playing like that 4th place team, but obviously the way the results went in the early stages of the split, they are unfortunately out of the playoffs. I'm so intrigued as to what Vanir are going to look like in summer, right?
I am as well, but also, don't call it yet. We've seen Vanir have stronger leads than this on Ruddy and other top teams that they've been able to throw. So, yes, it looks very good for them right now, but don't call it yet.
Ooh, you're taking enemy Raptors!
For example.
You're not allowed to do that! Flashes away, but gets out for a moment. Knight will be able to finish you off, but the rest of Vanir are here to avenge their AD carry. Look, Nash gets to the play just in time. It's a 2 for 2. Make that a 2 for 3. And Ruddy make it work.
A visual demonstration of, again, of what I was trying to remind you of. We've seen Vanir in these positions against some of the best teams, and the question of what Vanir will look like could be answered by they'll look like what they look like at the start of spring. You know, they are a team that's able to play out early game scenarios really well, a lot because Ploxy seems to have such a strong read on what the map needs at any point. But are they able to close it? They're answering again. Possibly not.
You don't need to be giving up a death there, and whilst this is going to open up the map a little bit for Ruddy, I think the small solace for Vanir is you're not losing a Baron off this. You're not losing significant vision around an objective either. This is going to bring Ruddy closer to parity, and with the way that the fights have been going, parity may be enough for them to come back in this game.
Yeah, I mean, if Ruddy are able to actually extend these plays, get picks while they have advantage, they have a 5v4 advantage on the map right now, for example, then they could extend one kill into a scenario where they have numbers advantage over an objective eventually. But those kinds of things are difficult to do for a team at this level. The issue is, the more you give up as Vanir, the more it starts eating away at you that you will eventually give this up at the wrong point. We saw this with Nord versus Riddle. Nord initially weren't giving up kills at points where they were losing objectives, but eventually they did, and that was all that Riddle needed to start getting in game.
Oh,
They're doing this with Elise off the map.
Very aggressive from Luca. And touches. Hold on, Denvoxday's just killed Lingui off our screen.
Yeah.
Oh no, Veteran, it's happening all over again.
Yeah, because they actually chained that Elise kill into this kill. Elise had just gotten back in respawn and was moving through her own jungle, but there was no way she could join this play. And if Ruddy have the game sense you should have at this point, they know Elise can't join that play right now, so they had full confidence in matching the play. They stacked one kill and turned it into others. If they do that 2 more times, that Drake's gonna be up. They do that 1 more time, that Baron's gonna be up.
You get the sense that if there was something that prevented Vanir from making it into that playoff spot, these sorts of mistakes, you just can't afford to make them.
It's the story. It's their story. It's happened they've done this to top teams, and this happens every time, and it's so sad because you can see the potential this team has, and they aren't quite there when it comes to closing out, and they never quite figured that part out.
And still, they are able to assert some pressure around the top side of the map. They've got a couple of wards in Ruddy's jungle and a few wards in the river as well. They've not got a support, no touch! Dies, and that could be massive. Losing your support, losing so much of this engaged potential when the Baron is on the board. Ruddy might be looking for a turn here. Devoxay opening up with the ultimate, and it's Chris Wright who's being caught out. Niter pops over the wall, is in a little bit of a 1v1, but Luca kicks him back into the team. The stopwatch is meaningless. A shutdown for Rifty. Vanir are throwing Ruddy, pick it up, and head for the Baron.
Ploxy pressing Esther in the middle of the lane. He's been here before. He knows what this is like. Kind of sad that Johan just spawned into Ruddy's mid lane this game, to be honest.
with that, Ruddy will get the Baron. I think the last hope here for Vanir is this Ocean Drake. If you can get the Soul, then maybe you don't get a load of power of that, but you get the Elder on the map, and if that's something that you can secure, then maybe that's how you get back in. But for the next 2.5 minutes at least, Vanir gonna need to batten down the hatches as Ruddy push forward.
40 seconds, Camille topside, but does have teleport. So long as Vanir play towards wards, knowing that Camille is able to get those flanks off, they could maybe make a play for the Soul. This is a Soul point Drake. If Vanir are able to claim the Soul, God, I remember saying this about them versus Verdant, then Taxa stole the Soul. Then they could still be in with a chance of winning the game. Renekton has TP.
And Vanir are in the river first. Touches, getting a couple of chunks down onto him. Lingui on the side, hunting for a flank, hunting for Denvoxe. If you can kill the Ezreal, if you can wipe him away, it's going to be massive. But Ploxy has been caught. The stopwatch bot as Touch is going to be thrown into the rest of the team. It's another Verniter. It is the same story for Vanir. They won't be able to take this Drake. The Soul will be denied for at least the next 5 minutes. And Ruddy are looking like a different team from what we saw in the early game. They are looking like the third place team in this league.
That's exactly what happened the last time they played Vanir.
Yep.
It's a sad one because like I really wish that I could just give Ploxy an MVP at some point, right? Like Ploxy had such a good early game, right? And a lot of what's happening here is basic principles of mid-late game going wrong.
Rifty a little bit isolated, and Vanir will be able to pick up that one. You can't get too much more. Denvoxe feeling the freedom to Arcane shift forward. This is pretty beefy Ezreal with that Bloodthirster shield on top to just deny a little bit of that extra poke. But hold on, what?
Okay, they caught Nash as Nash is trying to recall. Nash still has all summoners. There's no objectives on the map, but they have a numbers advantage here. They have a 5v3.
30-second death timers. That Ezreal ult not providing a lot of wave clear. Vanir, they could be caught out. Touch is going to get thrown onto the tower, but he gets the hook back down onto Nita. Lingui going forward himself. A little bit of a solo mission from the Camille into the back line, but the rest of Vanir pick up the mid lane inhibitor tower. They're going to get the inhib as well. Every single time we think that a team has got a hold of this game, it flip backs the other way.
I'm not going to say what I usually say about mid-inhibitor turrets, because honestly, I'm just glad these guys are breaking a base for once. Took until the last game, but like, I'm glad to see it. Ruddy, yeah, they messed up. They messed up in a very Vanir manner. 2 of their teammates got isolated in a row, and now that Baron, they are the ones without an inhibitor after the Baron play. This is a very negative Baron power play from them, but oh, look at what you're seeing on the side of the Ezreal there. A very, very strong set of builds, but he's actually foregone that mythic item until last right now. Once that mythic item comes out, though, as it very well could this game, that will be a ridiculously destructive Ezreal. He has figured, though, that the armor penetration and the utility from the Shireldas is more worth than getting the raw damage out. Not sure how much I agree with that. It makes him a little bit less scary than he could be at this point, but he's hoping for extended fight scenarios, though I believe this game has shown it's going to be isolated individual picks, and you need as much damage as you can on those moments. Camille, pressured topside, Ruddy have to match that. 2 minutes until Drake, 1 minute 40 until Baron. Ruddy just have to not get caught by then, and Vanir have to not get caught by then, but in about 40 seconds, one pick could determine who the game goes to.
Yeah, we're talking about sort of Denvoxe's itemization. Chris Berg is done with buying items. He is full build here on the Xayah, barring maybe selling your boots for a Zeal item or some shenanigans like that. But 100% crit, those feathers are absolutely lethal. If that pig does happen and Chris Berg gets even a moment to DPS, then the health bars of Ruddy are going to be disappearing very, very rapidly. Priority in this mid lane is key for the next minute or so, with that Baron spawning soon, with that next Drake spawning soon, and with the mid lane inhib down the super minions in the favor of Vanir. They've constantly got the shove and are able to deny Ruddy any vision in the river.
Chrisberg and Lingui have been really strong parts of Vanir for the entirety of the season, really. Like, the fact they haven't closed games, I mean, we haven't talked a lot about them as we would like to, but Chrisberg, especially on these mid-game spiking AD carries, has been very effective in a lot of their winning fights.
Top lane, top lane.
Vanir don't necessarily get them.
This topside jungle is a dangerous place to be as Lingui is jumping on Thrifty, and Touch is dead! Nitra is going to join the rest of the team as they beat up on Lingui. And it's the top lane and the support of Vanir that overstep. In the bottom lane, Luca is going to be able to get a little bit of a shove going down, but I feel like for Ruddy, you've got to take this Baron. Hold on, no! Nash getting caught!
Could be worth it, they kill Proxy.
Okay, Shift going forward with the double
damage.
body slam! A shutdown for the Ruddy jungler. The Baron is going to be theirs as well. And in the blink of an eye, this game goes back in favor of the red side team.
You don't want to be caught there when the full weight of a Gragas in late game just crashes down upon you. Those health bars got deleted, then Voxley easily able to follow up. Those picks that Nash died for became potentially game-winning ones. You wouldn't even care. The Baron went down. That's a lot of damage.
There's a lot of damage. Luca looking for a hero play, but
nice.
Not going to happen. No with that one. And Ruddy going to deny another Ocean Soul, another Ocean Drake away from Vanir. These Jackets don't mean masses for Ruddy, but the longer you can delay that Elder, the more and more time that Vanir are going to have to wait until they can get something which can truly open up the game.
Yeah, 100%. Ezreal here, almost on Mythic, has the Dirk out. Interested to see what that ends up turning into. If it goes the Eclipse route, you are against a decent amount of armor on the Camille. You're against Zhonya's out. You're against GA out. Could be the angle. Could be the angle to just go Eclipse and get the ridiculous amount of penetration that the Mythic passive gives you there. Which combined with the Shereldas would make the Ezreal's damage, quite frankly, ridiculous. Obviously, Zaya's still a really good pick, but let's be real. Are Vanir getting these 5v5s? No. It goes one after the other, and what you want is burst there, and Ezreal is the king of burst in the game right now.
Yeah. Denvox Day is pretty damn disgusting, but Ruddy do have to contend with a little bit of a structure disadvantage. Their base is not in complete shambles, but it's certainly looking less healthy than what Vanir have got to back them up. And as we crest the 38-minute mark, we are still no closer to seeing who's going to be getting the win in this game. It's Ruddy who have the momentary advantage, who have the Baron for the next minute or so, but we've seen that objective is far from decisive in this game.
But the gold has swung from 6k, 8k gold lead on Vanir to a 3k gold lead on Ruddy. That obviously matters less the closer people get to 6 items, but the tempo of the game has absolutely swung into Ruddy's favour, and you have to wonder, was that the focus of the composition, rather than just try to curve the Ezreal from early game plays, just be like, okay, how would one want to make a comeback if that is their priority? And you have to think, Gragas, Renekton, Lee, Rakan, these are champions that are very good at making individual picks when opponents are out of position. This is a composition that's very good to make a comeback with, if anything. You have to wonder if maybe that was the plan against Vanir the entire time. Knowing Vanir's strengths and knowing their crucial weaknesses, you just press that weakness over and over again.
And we are going to be falling into a little bit of a lull state now. 2.5 minutes until the next Drake, 3 minutes until the next Baron. Reminder, this game has no implication on the standings. This is just both these sets of players wanting to go out on a high, showing that actually you do need to think very, very highly of them. For Vanir, they are the team that could have made playoffs, weren't able to do it. Ruddy could have been top 2, but not able to do it. Both have missed out on things on this final day, but the last thing that they want to miss out on is a win. With the Baron falling off, Vanir feel a little bit more emboldened to push forward and try and take down these Ruddy structures.
Yeah, I mean, they're pushing heavily here, but Ruddy, they know that they just need Touch to go out of position, Ploxy to go out of position, Luca to go out of position, someone. The Grag is going to give him a helping hand with that. He actually halves Chrisberg's health. That will obviously come back from the Bloodthirster and the red buff on the next wave, but still a lot of damage coming out from even the utility. Also, Rabadon's Death Cap Grag is coming out here. I love it. I think you either go for ability ace or you go for AP, so I'm glad that he isn't going for the Rod of Ages build. That's been really triggering me. So good job, No Name.
Good job. He's had some pretty decent. We've had some pretty impressive Gragas players today, and despite not having inhib towers, it feels like Ruddy do, because Vanir can't get any ingress into this base.
1 minute though until Vanir could think, okay, our exit strategy out of here involves a Drake's Soul, and that could be the game-winning teamfight. Will Ruddy feel pressured and maybe make a mistake that Vanir could close on? It's going to be the other way around, most likely. But
big
still.
question. Oh no, no,
yeah,
Lingui, you can't stand in the mid lane like that. Nita gets the kick back into No Name. The rest of Vanir getting here just in time, but it's not in time for Lingui, as now Chrisberg is getting jumped onto by Rifty. Vanir are retreating away towards the Baron, but Nash will find them. Touch flashes over the wall to his death.
Chase?
And then Voxday just keeps going forward. A rampage kill for himself. Luca doesn't care about that fight at all. He's just going for inhibs.
Based. Extremely based. I mean, he's dead.
Dead, yeah.
Love it. That man went screaming into the void. I respect it. We could have pre-recorded this Vanir Ruddy game, it feels like. The same story for Vanir, the same story for Ruddy as in their previous matchup against Vanir itself. The top 3 of the NLC has been defined very heavily by slow early games into just better understanding of League of Legends, better patience in the mid-late game scenarios, especially late game ones, and that's being displayed here again by Ruddy, and unfortunately again by Vanir.
Ruddy will get the victory in the end.